true honor for me to announce George, obviously, as the recipient. Through my 17 years at ESPN, George has been a mentor to me, a friend, and of course, my boss at the end of the day. In his 30-plus years at ESPN, including more than a decade as president and his current role as chairman, he has done so much for collegiate athletics. He's always been focused on ensuring that sports fans, in particular college football fans, remain the primary and customers. George is the ultimate team player. For those of you who know him, you know that he's a very humble individual, but his creativity and leadership have helped redefine and enhance the sports fans' experience in this country and around the world. George is a much deserving recipient of this award, and we look forward to celebrating his accomplishments at the annual awards dinner in December, when he formally accepts the award. So I'd like to extend my personal congratulations, but certainly a big congratulations on behalf of the entire awards committee and the NFF to George. And now I'll turn it back to Jesse for the Hall of Fame presentations. Thank you.
Thanks, Bert. Well, certainly George Bodenheimer is a bona fide pioneer and very deserving of this award. Mr. Bodenheimer will be on hand December 4th here in New York City at the 55th annual NFF annual awards dinner, and he'll be sharing the stage with all of the inductees we're about to announce in the 2012 College Football Hall of Fame class from the Football Bowl subdivision. Before we get to announcing the class, I'll give you a couple statistics on this year's class. The 2012 College Football Hall of Fame class compromises 11 consensus first-team All-Americans, 5 Conference Players of the Year, and the class has represented over 5 decades of football. And with respect to coaches, we have 6 conference champions, 2 national champions, one sitting right beside me. We have 33 bowl appearances and 28 top 5 finishes. It's a very impressive class. So let's begin. First up in the 2012 College Football Hall of Fame, Charles Alexander, an LSU tailback from 1975 to 1978, and truly one of the great runners of his era. Alexander dominated the SEC in the late 70s, earning the nickname Alexander the Great. He left Baton Rouge as the most accomplished rusher in SEC history, holding the league's career records for rushing attempts, yards, and touchdowns. He became the first back in the SEC history to break the 4,000-yard barrier, and he recorded 40 rushing touchdowns. He earned consensus All-America honors in 1977 and again in 1978, and he left Baton Rouge with 27 school records. LSU's Charles Alexander to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, Otis Armstrong, a Purdue halfback from 1970 to 1972. One of the top runners of his era, Armstrong left Purdue owning Big Ten MVP honors, first-team all-conference accolades, and the league's all-time rushing record. In 1972, he was a consensus All-American, and Armstrong set the school record and conference record for career rushing yards that placed him 6th in the NCAA history books at his career's end. Armstrong's senior campaign remains the best in Boilermakers history with 1,361 rushing yards on 243 carries, and he nearly had 2,000 all-purpose yards. He still holds the school record for career carries. Purdue's Otis Armstrong also to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, Steve Bartkowski, quarterback at the University of California from 1972 to 1974, and one of the best signal callers in a long line of Pac-12 passers to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Bartkowski earned consensus All-America honors by leading the nation in passing yards in 1974. He also set the single-season record during his senior campaign by attempting 325 passes and accumulating more than 2,000 yards of total offense. He was universally acclaimed as the best quarterback in the West following his senior season, and his 4 300-yard passing games set a school record and still rank among the top 5 in Golden Bears history. Cal's Steve Bartkowski entering the College Football Hall of Fame. Football Hall of Fame coach John McKay and USC win the 1962 National Championship, catching 2 touchdown passes in the title game. During his 62 consensus All-America campaign, he set school records in single-season receiving yards and became the first player in USC history to top 200 receiving yards in a single game. The 2-time All-Pac-8 honoree led the men of Troy in scoring in 1961 and again in 1962, and he set a school record by averaging more than 20 yards per reception for his career. Can you say big play correct? Southern Cal's Hal Bedsole to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, Dave Casper, a tight end at the University of Notre Dame from 1971 to 1973. Cited by Hall of Fame coach Eric Parsegian as perhaps the greatest athlete he ever coached, Casper helped the Fighting Irish to the 1973 National Championship as the team's offensive MVP and co-captain. He earned consensus All-America honors in 1973 while being named an NFF National Scholar Athlete, a COSIDA Academic All-American, and a recipient of the NCAA Postgraduate Scholarship. A versatile asset for the Irish, Casper also saw action at split end, offensive tackle, and along the defensive line during his time in South Bend. He's also a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Notre Dame's Dave Casper to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, someone I idolized growing up, Ty Detmer, the quarterback of BYU from 1988 to 1991. Detmer left BYU as one of the most accomplished quarterbacks in college football history, claiming the Heisman Trophy, the Maxwell Award, 2 Davy O'Brien Awards, and 59 NCAA records during his time in Provo. Twice named a consensus All-American, Detmer's more than 15,000 career passing yards, 121 touchdowns, were NCAA best at the time, and he still holds 9 NCAA records. The 3-time All-Conference performer helped lead the Cougars to 3 conference titles, 4 bowl games, and 3 AP Top 25 finishes. BYU's Ty Detmer to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, Tommy Kramer, a quarterback at Rice University from 1973 to 1976. Kramer is one of only 2 quarterbacks in college football history to earn consensus All-America honors for a sub-500 team since 1970. See, we always find the positives in these things. He finished 5th in the Heisman voting in 1976, and he led the nation in passing yards and yards of total offense. Both marks ranked 2nd in the NCAA's single-season history at the time. The 1976 Southwest Conference Player of the Year became the first player in league history to top 3,000 yards of total offense in a single season, while also recording 4 of the top 8 passing performances in Southwest Conference history. Rice's Tommy Kramer to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, Art Monk, a wide receiver at Syracuse University from 1976 to 1979. During his remarkable career, Monk earned first-team All-America honors in 1979 and helped the Orange to its first bowl game in 13 seasons. He led the team in receiving 3 consecutive years and averaged nearly 18 yards per reception as a senior. With nearly 2,000 career receiving yards, Monk set school records for receptions in a game. Monk also returned punts and kickoffs for the Orange, totaling 75 returns for more than 1,100 yards. He's also a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Syracuse's Art Monk to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, Greg Myers, a defensive back at Colorado State from 1992 to 1995. The winner of the 1995 Jim Thorpe Award, Myers claimed as many decorations off the field as he did for his stellar performance on the field. A 2-time first-team All-American, he became the first player in WAC history to earn all WAC honors 4 times, and he holds the league record with 7 All-Conference selections, 4 as a defensive back, 3 as a return specialist. As a defensive back, he totaled 295 tackles and 15 interceptions. A 1995 NFF National Scholar Athlete, Myers was named to the 2-time Academic All-American team. Colorado State's Greg Myers to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, a mountain of a man, Jonathan Ogden, an offensive tackle from UCLA from 1992 to 1995. Ogden established himself as the cornerstone of the Bruins attack as a 4-year starter during his time in Westwood. A unanimous All-American and the winner of the 1995 Outlet Trophy, Ogden allowed just 1 sack as a senior. He won the Morris Trophy as the Pac-10's top offensive lineman and the UPI Lineman of the Year award. Playing for College Football Hall of Fame coach Terry Donahue, he helped the Bruins win the Pac-10 title in 1993. Ogden's number 79 jersey is one of only 8 to be retired by UCLA. UCLA's Jonathan Ogden entering the College Football Hall of Fame. Next, Gabe Rivera, a defensive tackle at Texas Tech from 1972 to 1982. The most accomplished defensive lineman in Texas Tech history, Gabe Rivera was a consensus All-American as a senior in 1982. Carrying the nickname Senior Sack, Rivera averaged 80 tackles per season from his defensive tackle spot. During his All-America campaign in '82, he compiled 107 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 25 quarterback pressures, and 8 pass breakups. He was named twice an honorable mention All-American as an underclassman and earned all Southwest Conference honors in 1981 and 1982. Texas Tech's Gabe Rivera to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, Mark Semino, a linebacker at Kansas State from 1996 to 1999. A two-time All-American, including first-team consensus in 1999, Mark Semino stands as possibly the greatest defender in Kansas State history. Semino holds a school record with 251 career unassisted tackles, and he ranks third in school history in total tackles and tackles for a loss. The 1999 Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year also notched 15.5 sacks. He's a 3-time first-team All-Big 12 selection. He led Kansas State to one of its greatest stretches in school history with 3 top 10 AP finishes. Kansas State's Mark Semino to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next, Scott Thomas, a safety at the Air Force Academy from 1982 to 1985. A consensus first-team All-American in '85, Thomas led the Falcons during one of the most successful 4-year runs in Academy history, including the school's first conference title with a 12-1 record and a number 5 final AP ranking. Air Force amassed a 38-12 overall record and 4 consecutive bowl wins during his stay in Colorado Springs. He recorded 221 career tackles, 10 picks, and an average of nearly 29 yards per kickoff return. He gained national attention in 1991 during the Gulf War in Iraq after his plane went down in enemy territory. Air Force's Scott Thomas to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, John Wooten, an offensive guard at the University of Colorado from 1956 to 1958. Described as a quick, agile tackle who provided bone-crunching leading blocks. Wooten blazed the path for others to follow as one of the first African Americans to earn first-team All-America honors at the lineman position. Part of one of the most powerful rushing attacks in the 50s, Wooten's efforts placed the Buffaloes in the top 12 nationally all 3 years that he was in Boulder, while leading the nation with more than 322 yards per game back in 1957. The 1957 All-Big 7 performer also saw action on the defensive line. He currently serves as executive director of the Fritz Pollard Alliance. Colorado's John Wooten to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, Coach Philip Fulmer from the University of Tennessee. With an all-time record of 152 wins and 52 losses, Fulmer guided the Volunteers from 1992 to 2008 and claimed the very first BCS National Championship game in 1998 while receiving National Coach of the Year honors. They beat us, by the way, in overtime that year. Under his leadership, Tennessee finished in the AP Top 25 and the owner of 2 SEC championships and 7 SEC East titles. Fulmer was 5-0 against the nation's #1 ranked team and trails only College Football Hall of Fame coach General Robert Nealon on Tennessee's all-time wins list. He coached 70 first-team All-SEC performers and 2 Campbell Trophy winners, Peyton Manning and Michael Munoz. Tennessee coach Philip Fulmer to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. Next up, Coach Jimmy Johnson. During his 10-year head coaching career at Oklahoma State and Miami, Jimmy Johnson won 70% of his games from 1979 to 1988. Starting off in Stillwater, he won Big 8 Coach of the Year honors his first year and led the Cowboys to 2 bowl games. At Miami, Johnson won 52 of 61 games and made 5 New Year's Day bowl appearances. During his final 4 seasons in Miami, he posted a remarkable 44-4 record, including 4 top 10 finishes, 2 national title appearances, and of course the 1987 National Crown at the Orange Bowl. He coached 2 future College Football Hall of Famers as well, and a Heisman Trophy winner. Oklahoma State and Miami coach Jimmy Johnson to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. And finally, Coach R.C. Slocum from Texas A&M University. With an all-time record of 123-47-2, R.C. Slocum is the winningest coach in Texas A&M in Southwest Conference history. A 4-time National Coach of the Year honoree, Slocum's Aggies dominated the Southwest Conference from 91 to 94, winning 3 league titles, boasting a 22-game league winning streak, and a 28-0-1 overall conference record. Slocum led the Aggies to 11 bowl games, 10 AP Top 25 finishes, and the school's lone Big 12 crown back in 1988. He retired as college football's 6th winningest active coach. Texas A&M coach R.C. Slocum to enter the College Football Hall of Fame. So there we have it, the 2012 Football Bowl Subdivision inductees into the 2012 College Football Hall of Fame. To recap, The 2012 inductees are Charles Alexander, LSU, Otis Armstrong, Purdue, Steve Bartkowski, California, Hal Bedsole, Southern Cal, Dave Casper, Notre Dame, Ty Detmer, BYU, Tommy Kramer, Rice, Art Monk, Syracuse, Greg Myers, Colorado State, Jonathan Ogden, UCLA, Gabe Rivera, Texas Tech, Mark Simino, Kansas State, Scott Thomas, Air Force, John Wooten, Colorado, Coach Philip Fulmer, Tennessee, Coach Jimmy Johnson, Oklahoma State and Miami, and Coach R.C. Slocum, Texas A&M. We're now actually going to get the opportunity to hear from two inductees that are obviously here with us today. I'd like to start with Steve Bartkowski. You can talk a little bit about what today means to you. Anywhere you want.
All right, how about if I just stay seated? It's harder and harder.